No one likes to wait for something they're anticipating. I've been there, we all have. But especially since we are Square Enix fans, we are always waiting. Time continues to pass and we have nothing. I do think it's making a lot of us a little, crazy. Now again, I don't blame you completely. People want answers, and this is the first era of Kingdom Hearts where we legit have, nothing to hold us over. The early 2000s of Kingdom Hearts was magical. For 10 years, we had Kingdom Hearts content with no stopping. It was beautiful. Then the 2010s came in. We had remasters, new trailers for Kingdom Hearts 3 every year, updates for Union Cross, and we also got 0.2 in back cover, alongside Dream Drop Distance HD Remix. 2020 rolls around, we get Remind, great DLC, and Melody of Memory to hype us up for the future. But now we have nothing. I feel hollow. My heart is missing a piece. I am nobody without Kingdom Hearts. We get a mobile game canned, some pictures in May, and last week Nomura told us it's going good, guys, don't worry. Why aren't we getting what we used to? What happened to yearly trailers? What happened to the abundance of interviews we used to get? Is it because Tetsuya Nomura is a bad director? Is Final Fantasy VII hogging the spotlight for the big Square Enix? Did Yoshi P curse Kingdom Hearts? While we don't know 100% the reason, we can debunk a lot of these misconceptions people have and the misinformation that comes with being angry from being left, waiting, and wanting. Is Tetsuya Nomura a bad director who can't get his projects out? No. The long answer is that we have evidence that Nomura is a director who is getting hoed by things out of his control at Square Enix. A lot of people have, and will, still, for the past 10 years, point to Versus 13 and Final Fantasy 15 and say things like, he is a problem, and is the reason why games with his name on it don't ever come out. However, we have multiple things to point to tell you that isn't true. For example, in an interview with Juan Heismer, the lead designer for Final Fantasy Versus 13 and Final Fantasy 15, stated in 2019, Tetsuya Nomura is a genius in terms of design. The team was stuck for a week or so trying to solve a level design problem, and when we met with him, he solved it in 5 minutes. He looks at the game at its completion. It's already there in his head. He's very adaptive, and he can change according to the situation. Man, does he have a lot of answers in his head as soon as he starts a game. We also have it documented that the Crystal Tools engine was not made to work with all the games it was trying to accommodate. Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy 13, and Final Fantasy Versus 13. To the point only Final Fantasy 13 and sequels were able to use it. Versus and 14 would eventually move to an engine called Codename Black, which became Lumos Engine. 14 would use an early version of this and create its own version of Lumos, while 15 would use the complete original version. When it was time to fully dive into development of Final Fantasy 15, Nomura was taken off the project to work on what was considered higher priorities for him at Square Enix, the Final Fantasy VII Remake project and Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy VII Remake, also a project that had some issues out of his control. My god. Free this man. Kingdom Hearts 3 was originally going to be developed on the Lumos engine, but because it was still being worked on at the time, Square Osaka moved the game to Unreal Engine 4, setting the game's development back by a few months. Final Fantasy VII Remake started on Unreal Engine 4, however, the game was outsourced. The studio, CyberConnect 2, wasn't making the game at the quality Square Enix wanted a Final Fantasy VII Remake to be at. This was something that even affected the original PlayStation Experience 2015 trailer. They decided to bring it in-house, thus delaying the development again by a few months to a year. Things out of his control in terms of game design, studio politics, and the like keep popping up, and we as fans of his work should acknowledge and understand that he has gone through a lot of stuff to get his games out. Next question. Does Final Fantasy VII have priority over Kingdom Hearts according to Tetsuya Nomura?
Hey bro, come on now, dawg. Come on, man.
No, it does not. People made up that rumor, and it doesn't make any sense of where that came from. It's just not true. The long answer is this. Why do we have more FF7 information than we do Kingdom Hearts, and Final Fantasy VII's 2 games into its trilogy, while Kingdom Hearts hasn't even started its next one? Well, Disney controls the marketing of Kingdom Hearts, and Final Fantasy VII is controlled marketing-wise by one company, Square Enix. Final Fantasy VII Remake just released the game and has a mobile game that continuously gets updates while we wait in between games, like Kingdom Hearts used to. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was released in 2024 on PS5 and on PC in 2025. Plenty of opportunities to give updates on development, as it's just going to be in the news. Kingdom Hearts is a collaborative project between Disney and Square Enix. I'm about to go over the information that the man himself said during the production of Kingdom Hearts 3 about world selection and marketing and how it all works over at Disney. So grab a snack, sit back, throw on a game or read a manga, read a book while you listen to this. Just, chill out, have a good time. What is the creative process in choosing looks for Kingdom Hearts? Do you start with some worlds already in mind, or are there guidelines to follow for consistency with the previous game, or possibly requests from Disney? Nomura says several factors come into play. First off, Disney will sometimes offer us ideas of worlds to integrate. And then there are worlds that I really want to include myself personally in Kingdom Hearts 3. I also think of the worlds in the previous games, in order to maintain consistency in the story. My team will not hesitate to provide suggestions for their own ideas. After deciding what worlds will be present, we start playing the conduct of the story in these worlds, but also to make them interesting and fun for the players. In selecting the worlds, are you interested in Disney movies that have already been released, or do you also consider future productions such as Frozen? Of course, it is possible to include worlds from future Disney productions. We currently have some ideas for the worlds of Kingdom Hearts that we cannot speak about until the game's release. New Disney productions will continue to emerge, and we'll see in time with Disney for the possible integration of these films. So that's what it is. Now, how do you actually choose new world? The shape it's taking for Kingdom Hearts 3 is everyone sharing what sort of things we'd like to do, what sort of worlds, and then making decisions looking at that. A wide range of worlds fall within our targets, so there's a lot of candidates, but we can't make them all. And in the end, we also need the okay from Disney. But the staff working on Kingdom Hearts 3 are pushier than they've ever been. They get highly passionate on the spot, elaborating to me exactly why we just have to do this. So it's difficult to make some choices. How do you create the global history of Kingdom Hearts 3 and that of the different worlds? Is Disney involved in this process? Nomura. First, I create a general base for the overall narrative, which another scriptwriter will use to fill in a more detailed plot. Then, I take it and begin writing the entire story, sometimes referring to it only as a guide, and other times taking bits and pieces from the original. They will send it to Disney for final edits and approval. This process is slightly different in sections that take place in Disney worlds. After I've completed the outline of the story, the process will continue as I've just explained. However, as a rule, have the writers take into consideration what each level design team will require when writing the script. The first version of this will be sent to Disney for revisions, then it comes back to me so I can include my own edits and arrangements so that they fit into the general progression of the game and narrative flow. Finally, it's sent back to Disney for further checking. This part does not involve Disney, but I decided it was important to talk about, so we're going to go back before this big topic happened and go back to the Nomura Bad Director section, because I feel like this is important for people to understand. We also picked up that in Ford interviews, he was saying that the production is taking a long time. And this is an effect of, as you mentioned in earlier interviews, the changing game engine. Nomura. Okay, let me put it in a way that won't be misunderstood. The reason for the delays are because of things like changes in the company's objectives, modifications of the period of time between staff rotations, and backtracking due to switching of game engines. These things affect not only Kingdom Hearts 3, but all titles at Square Enix. I've already briefly touched on this topic several times before in the interviews, but it seems to not have been properly understood. When there's changes from within the company, there's no other choice but to be affected by it. These changes have hardly anything to do with the fans at all, so I feel there's no need to talk much about it. Sure, there were times where we weren't very blessed by the timing of these changes, but there was never really any direct problems. Through these changes, the company has established a cooperative and collaborative system, so there's no further need to worry. And we know this is true because if you read the Ultimanias for Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy VII Remake, Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy VII Remake shared staff, which was a brand new thing for Square Enix. They had not done that before, and I think the Square Enix reboot that is currently going on now is probably going to be the same way. Because right now, at Square Enix, according to Yoshi P, Final Fantasy 17 is being talked about across the entire company. So, I think their new system that they have in place will not delay Kingdom Hearts 4, in fact it will help speed up production. Let's get back to the Disney portion of this video. So, including Monsters Inc. and Toy Story and Kingdom Hearts 3 were highest priority for you. Nomura. Even so, the hurdles we had to jump through to get there were higher than I expected. To begin with, I went to America twice for negotiations, where it turned out that we couldn't move forward with that until we had a plot. So I wrote the plot for Toy Story at a stage where the main story still hadn't been written. After that, we were in correspondence for quite a long time, until the plans were boiled down and something that was finally approved. It was the first time we had worked with Pixar, and we built a relationship with them through Toy Story, which we used as a base with suggesting other titles. We were surprised at how the plot of the Pixar worlds were continuous from the original movies. Originally, the basic pattern of the Kingdom Hearts series was that Sora and the others get involved in the scenes that depict the happenings of the original movie. The Tangled and Frozen worlds fit that description. However, with Toy Story and Monsters Inc., upon request from the creators, they went with a pattern of depicting a period set after the movie as an authorized history. Patterns of world would follow depends greatly on the idea of the creator and the producers of the movie. Stories based on the events of the movies still manage to cleverly incorporate episodes involving Sora and friends, don't they? That is an achievement of Masaru Oka and the level design team. In recent Kingdom Hearts titles, Oka has been discussing and deciding the location and flow of battles and cutscenes, with the level design team, and creating tentative scenarios that fit. I touched things up in the final stages, but what I corrected mostly to do with dialogue. The events of the story of each one will prioritize the level design mostly. Disney has now acquired companies other than Pixar, such as Marvel and Lucasfilms. Will this expand the range of worlds available for future games? Yes. However, the contracts necessary to use a franchise in the game are each tied to their own separate companies. In several cases, there are existing contracts with other game companies. So it's not as simple as, this company has been acquired by Disney so it can appear in Kingdom Hearts. As you can see, there's a lot they have to do and go through to make Kingdom Hearts games, especially now that it's in HD. If it were up to me though, Kingdom Hearts would skip Disney for one game, this or Verum Rex. I'd have done Verum Rex first too, but maybe they'll drop faster off to Kingdom Hearts 4 because they'll reuse the Quadranima assets. We don't know for sure though. FF7 is not stopping Kingdom Hearts from getting information. FF7 is not stopping any Square game from getting information, as we have seen this year with a bunch of smaller projects ruling the news cycle like Octopath Zero. Disney are the ones who want information to release when they want it, and also the entire Cage dev team process is completely different from anything else Square Enix. They have to travel to America, talk to people who worked on the games, and see what gets approved. Can I do a new story, or do I follow the original story, depending on what the creators or producers say? However, info drop at Square Enix in general is different from what it was in 2000 to 2015, minus FF14's active time reports. No one is really doing it like they used to. You don't really get your magazine interviews for games that are long off and aren't coming out for a while. You usually have to wait till the Nintendo Direct or State of Play to get information. Last section of the video. What is taking Kingdom Hearts 4 so long? Well, Kingdom Hearts 4 has been in production since 2019. It was in pre-production in 2019 until 2020, and entered full production in 2021. Switched over to UE5 in 2022. Nomura has stated these things during the Kingdom Hearts 4 20th anniversary. Here's some extra little bits that probably put in perspective what's been happening inside the Kingdom Hearts team at Square Enix. After the release of Remind DLC, Nomura stated that they had some organizational changes after finishing Kingdom Hearts 3, and that is part of why Remind took longer than they wanted it to take. But there are other things that are probably happening that are making the game take a little bit longer than it would probably take, and it probably would have been out in 4 years if it weren't for these things. Story has reached an end at Kingdom Hearts 3, but there are still some unsolved mysteries and characters. Nomura. I intend to tie remaining loose story ends, but also want to change the format a bit. I want to drastically change the world and tell a new story, but also tie up the loose ends. Who are the two black coats in the trailer? One of them seems to be the Master of Masters. That's still a secret. By the way, in addition to Oka, Masaru Oka, who worked with me on scenarios for the Kingdom Hearts series up until now, I asked Akiko Ishibashi, a newcomer to the Kingdom Hearts team, to join us in writing the scenario for Kingdom Hearts 4. This marks the start of our 3-person team. The biggest reason is because of how she factors into approaching new users. From the perspective of someone who has no experience with the Kingdom Hearts series, she did a great job of integrating characters, values, and principles in The Other Worlds with You and other works, and I thought her way of thinking would be well suited for Kingdom Hearts. So, add in the restructuring of the team, the drastic changes to the story, adding a new scenario writer, and how the world process goes, it makes sense why KH4 has been in development for a bit here. These things can push back dev time by months and even a year. While it could be great if that didn't happen, that's the unfortunate reality. And I think it wouldn't be a problem for people if we just had something to chew on between Kingdom Hearts 3, Melody of Memory, and 4. Online, I see a lot of Kingdom Hearts fans going at FF7, like the rest of Square Enix fans do. Guys, Square Enix is a big company who has teams for different games. FF7 would not interfere with Kingdom Hearts dev, or vice versa. In fact, they're in the same studio. They would help each other more than hurt each other. I'm also seeing people start to hate on Tetsuya Nomura himself, making up things like he chose to prioritize FF7 over Kingdom Hearts. This is simply not true. He is spreading himself thin like he always has been for years, overseeing multiple projects. But the one he is deep locked into will always be Kingdom Hearts. That's his baby. Hating on Pops makes no sense. Nomura is the brain behind all the things we love, and we shouldn't hate on him. We shouldn't make up stuff about him just because we're mad. Stop trying to find a scapegoat. And also, Kingdom Hearts fans hating FF7 is weird as hell. That's big sis. That's big bro. Kingdom Hearts' existence goes back to FF7. I hope this helped change some of your opinions and you look at things differently. I want to see Kingdom Hearts more than any of you ever. Like, none of you are on the level of how bad I want to see Kingdom Hearts. I'm sorry. Don't get it twisted. We are not the same. We are not the same at all. But I'm keeping a cool head and still believe in a reveal soon because Nomura said Kingdom Hearts 4 and FF7 are going according to schedule, and the release timing of information is already set. So, I hope you guys have a great day, and peace from Quasi Games, everybody. Also, quick thing. I believe that probably the reason why we haven't had Kingdom Hearts 4 information revealed yet is because Tron Ares is getting a world in it. And I think Nomura and Disney were waiting for Tron Ares to release, or at least start this big marketing push, before announcing Kingdom Hearts 4, and that the Tron and Star Wars worlds will be in the game. That is my assumption. I could be wrong, but I feel like it's what's going to happen. So anyways, have a great day, and peace from Wizard Games, everybody.